Okay, it is just moments before 6:30 and our meeting begins at 6:30. So we'll begin here shortly, but I just want to make sure that the Zoom meeting is working. So good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to those that have joined us in the chambers tonight for this special council meeting. This is a planning public meeting that has been advertised, and we meet regularly on Wednesdays to deal with planning matter public meetings. And so tonight we have one item on the agenda. So I just want to acknowledge that one of our members for council is joining us on Zoom tonight. Councillor Beelan is joining us on Zoom. And another member of our council, Councillor MacArthur, has advised me he's unable to attend the meeting tonight. So we do have everyone here as a quorum, and we're prepared to conduct the meeting. So, council, it is now 6:30, so I will call for the approval of the agenda. Recommendation be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated January 25, 2023 as presented. Can I have a mover? Councillor Janine, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Any questions on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you, Councillor Beelan. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Has anybody got any disclosures in regards to this? Okay, hearing none. If anything comes up during the meeting, of course, bring it forward. We'll deal with it right away. Council item 3 on this special agenda is our public meeting. During public meetings, as it has been a procedure and a policy of Clearview Township for many, many years, that public planning meetings are generally chaired by our deputy mayor. And so I would ask if you would allow me to pass the chair to the deputy mayor, Mr. Paul Van Stavern. Paul, you will be able to conduct the meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship, and welcome everybody tonight. 6:31, we will now initiate the public meeting portion of tonight's meeting. We invite you to comment on the application being presented tonight and to engage in the process with us. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Corporation of the Township of Clearview on an application being discussed this evening, please complete a public delegation form and submit this to the clerk. The forms are sitting on the front counter here. Be advised that your comment or request to be notified will form part of the public record, and your communication, any personal information therein will be made available to the public unless you expressly request its removal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions to a public meeting or written submission to the township with respect to the proposed applications before a decision is made or bylaw is passed, they are not entitled to appeal the decision of the Ontario Municipal Board and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. The following public meeting will involve a brief presentation by our planning staff, an opportunity for the applicant or their agent to present their application, and a period for public comments or questions, and an opportunity for questions by council as well. So with that, 3.1 zoning bylaw amendment 2023-09-ZB. We will begin the meeting with respect to this file of this evening's agenda. The planning staff will now start with a brief presentation concerning the application. Thanks, Mrs. Workman.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and councillors. Tonight we're here for the zoning public meeting. Sarah's just assisting me here with my presentation. Oh, okay. Thank you. So we're here tonight for the public meeting zoning bylaw amendment in file number 2022-091 ZB, and it is on the subject lands 15 Station Street, Glen Huron. This just shows a key map, and the subject lands are actually outlined in a hatched, the gray and black hatch. I just have a little pointer there showing it's 15 Station Street in Glen Huron, Clearview Township. Again, this is another map showing the subject land. So it's outlined in a red box there, just showing the 15 Station Street, Glen Huron. So the existing policy framework, currently the Township of Clearview official plan designation on the subject lands is commercial, and the current zoning bylaw categories on the lands are service commercial C3 and hazard land overlay FP. This is the existing official plan map, and again, you can see that the subject lands are designated commercial. The existing zoning bylaw map, and again, subject lands are shown as service commercial C3, and they do have the blue hazard land overlay, which is a depiction of the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority regulatory area. And now on to the proposal. The application proposes to zone the lands from service commercial C3 zone to service commercial exception. And in this case, we're going to use exception number 7. And exception number 7 will consider proposed changes to the service commercial zone, such as permitted uses, zoning provisions, and general provisions of the zoning bylaw 06-54. Proposed changes include limiting permitted uses or primary uses on the site to the following: to a building supply outlet, to allow outdoor storage, and to allow outdoor display and sales area. Exception 7 would also consider changes to the provisions of the bylaw. In this case, the lot area of the subject lands is 0.479 hectares, and the bylaw actually requires 0.5 hectares. The front yard setback is being requested at 3 meters, where the bylaw would require 15 meters. And one of the other things we're going to look at is not providing landscaping screens or buffers on the site, but to consider a modified landscaping requirement. We do not require any parking spaces or loading spaces on the site, and there will be no hard surface or asphalt requirement in the driving area on the property. And we are going to look at allowing 2 entrances. And this is a site plan, sort of helps you visualize what is proposed. So the gray box here is the proposed structure. And you can see the drive areas in another shade of gray. The site is actually interesting in that it is limited by topography. So this actually depicts a bit of that topography on the site. Notice in circulation. Notice of the subject zoning bylaw amendment has been given in accordance with the Planning Act on December 22nd, 2022, and it was done through mailing out of the notice and posting a sign on the property. Details of the application and supporting materials have been made available to the public and have been circulated to the relevant commenting agencies. And this is a circulation map. So it is a map that depicts the properties that were mailed out the notice. And of course, the requirement of the Planning Act is that they are mailed within 120 meters. Those properties within 120 meters are this yellowy color. Subject lands are outlined in a red box. And this would be the opportunity for me to read out any of the public comments that we've received, but we have not received any to date, so we can move along. This is my contact information, so if anyone online or in the audience would like to provide any further comments, and you can certainly get a hold of me with email or telephone. And just to sort of summarize where we are in terms of the review process, right now we're at the public meeting stage, and staff will consider receiving comments from anyone that wishes to provide them. We will then go to a staff recommendation report to council. Council will then either approve or deny the application, and then there will be an appeal period. And as always, if there is no appeal received, the decision of the bylaw will come into force and effect. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Workman, I guess you get to put your 2 cents worth in or provide a brief presentation regarding the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. It's very nice to see you all. I am Marie LaRue. I am a land use planner with Mountain Ridge Custom Homes. And we are here to make a presentation on behalf of Hamilton Brothers for their proposal for 15 Station Street. I have here with me tonight Joe Hamilton, and also the owner of Mountain Ridge Custom Homes, Gord Ziegel. I'll just, Sarah's working on getting my presentation up. Kind of nice with the weather out there that there's just the one meeting tonight. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sarah, can we just go to the next slide, please? So this is an air photo showing Glen Huron. And on the air photo, I've indicated Hamilton Brothers Building and Farm Supply, their location, as well as the, I've indicated where the subject property is. So for background, Hamilton Brothers Farm and Building Supplies is a 6th generation family-owned business established in 1874 in Glen Huron. The main store and operations are located at 2047 Concession 8. The business has continued to grow and has led to the need for additional storage facilities. They had proposed a building behind the store. However, the NVCA could not support it at that location due to the potential flooding, erosion, and inadequate setbacks from the Mad River. The alternative was to locate the storage facility on another one of their properties, which they have chosen to be the lot located at 15 Station Street, which is just around the corner from the store. We did pre-consult with the township, county, and the NVCA. The NVCA advised that they could support the storage facility at 15 Station Street. So this is more of a zoom in air photo of the subject property, which is outlined in red. The subject property location is 15 Station Street. The frontage is 93 meters or 305 feet. The area is 0.48 hectares, that's rounded up, which is 1.18 acres. The front portion of the lot is flat, cleared, and surfaced with gravel. The rear portion has a steep incline up a hill and is treed. There are no buildings on the lot, and it has been utilized for outdoor storage for the Hamilton Brothers Farm and Building Supply business for over 30 years. The property is designated commercial in the official plan and is within the settlement area of Glen Huron. The zoning is service commercial with the hazard land overlay, FP, which signifies the lands are within the NVCA regulated area. Sarah, thank you. Again, this is the air photo with the property outlined in red, and it also has the overlay of the zoning on it, so you could see what the surrounding properties were zoned. So the surrounding uses to the north across the street is a commercial properties with a former agricultural barn, which is now empty, and a commercial shop. To the west is a large residential lot with a dwelling, and to the east is an unopened road allowance, and then a residential lot with a dwelling. And then to the south is farmland. Next slide, please. So this is the preliminary site plan that was done up that accompanied the zoning application when it came in. And it was to show where the commercial storage facility would be located. And you can see the gray area around the building. That's the gravelled surface area on this lot. So existing and proposed uses. The current use is outdoor storage of lumber and products for Hamilton Brothers Farm and Building Supply. And the proposed use is the continuation of the outdoor storage and a commercial storage facility for inside storage of the lumber and products. Next slide, please. So the proposed zoning, as Rosalind's already mentioned, is taking it to a service commercial exception, and the hazard land overlay would remain. The exception would recognize the continued use of the property for outdoor storage and add as a permitted use a commercial storage facility for the inside storage of commercial products and supplies. The exceptions would include a reduction to the minimum lot area, front yard setback, and changes to the landscaping, parking, and outdoor storage provisions, among other appropriate for the proposed use. There is currently 3 driveways, which would be reduced to 2. The deliveries and pickups would be within the building and yard. Employees will not be stationed at this site. It will be strictly utilized as a storage facility. Next slide, please. So this is a portion of the Clearview official plan, which shows the property there outlined on it. So as Rosalind's mentioned, the property is commercial, and it is within a secondary settlement area of Glen Heron. The policies in the official plan states it is the intent of the OP to encourage the expansion of the municipality's existing commercial base as a means of addressing the commercial needs for Clearview residents. Commercial designation permits all forms of commercial uses. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment would conform to the official plan. Next slide, please. So this is a map taken out of the county OP, which is Schedule 5.1, and that's the land use designations map. And you can see on this map that they have indicated Glen Heron, and that it's a little bit of a gray area. So the gray areas on this map means that it's a settlement area. So then once you've determined what the designation is locally and in the counties, then those are the policies you refer to when you go to the provincial policies. So provincial and county policies. Provincial policy statements, the PPS, for settlement areas and employment policies recognize rural settlement areas are critical to long-term economic prosperity for our communities and promote opportunities for economic development. A place to grow, the growth plan for Greater Golden Horseshoe, APG, have policies of where and how development is to occur, and that it's supposed to be limited development, which is directed to the settlement area that are not serviced by municipal water and wastewater systems. The rural area policies, municipalities are encouraged to plan for economic opportunities and the rural settlement areas to service the needs of the rural residents and area businesses. The county official plan directs employment growth to settlements and encourages a wide range of businesses to meet the needs of the growing population. So the proposed zoning bylaw amendment would be consistent with and conform to these policies as well. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, there's this box here. I'm just going to close it if I can. Or I can read it. Can I close that? Okay, thank you. Conclusion, Hamilton Brother Farms and Building Supply is a 6th generation family-owned business established in 1874 in Glen Heron, which has grown over the years to several properties in Glen Heron that retail everything from farm, building supplies to various products for your gardens and household needs. Their business has continued to grow, which led them to need additional storage facilities. Their property at 15 Station Street is designated and zoned to permit commercial uses. The rezoning is required to provide exceptions to the current zoning to recognize the current use of commercial outdoor storage and to permit the proposed commercial storage facility for indoor storage of their products and supplies. The exceptions also vary zone provisions. The proposed rezoning is consistent with and conforms to the provincial and county policies because the lands are within a settlement area and where economic growth is encouraged and promoted to meet the needs of the municipality's residents and businesses. The proposed rezoning conforms to the Clearview OP as the lands are designated commercial and within the settlement area of Glen Huron, and policies encourage expansion of the municipality's current commercial base and permits commercial development. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment will establish appropriate zone provisions for the proposed use, which will be implemented through a site plan approval with the township. This proposal represents good planning and is in the public interest to permit existing commercial uses to continue. Thank you. I'm more than happy to answer any questions if there are any. Okay.
Thank you very much, Marie. Does anyone in the audience wish to make a comment, ask a question, or address council with respect to the application? Seeing questions may be directed to or responded to by the applicant, their agent, or staff, and should be addressed through the chair. Please remember to complete and submit your delegation form. Anybody wish to make comments? First call. Anybody wish to make comments? Second call. Anybody wish to make comments? Third call. At this point, does a member of council wish to make a comment or ask a question of staff or the applicant or the agent? I assume all three of you are willing to answer questions. Are we going to beat you up, Joe? Don't worry. Any questions? No, your worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. It's a simple question I have, given that many commercial structures get built in our township or industrial structures. And when they get built, I often ask this question. I'll ask it again. Will you consider any of the lighting on the facility in a dark sky format, meaning that we don't want lights sort of splashing out everywhere off the building or in the building? Would we consider that in the design of the structure, that there would be lights creating a dark sky effect?
Through the chair, through to your worship, if there was going to be lighting on site, it would have to be the dark skylight. Yes.
Yes.
It would be. Yeah. I think it's a requirement standard for the township. It's in the engineering standards, actually, that they be.
Yes, they were recently updated, if I may, and I appreciate that they are. I just want to make sure that the applicant here, that
Yes.
we are definitely looking towards that.
Yeah.
So
Quick addendum to that question. Is there even hydro on that site?
Just hydro. That's it.
There is no hydro?
Oh, I thought there was hydro. No?
So
There's no hydro.
you're not going to put it there, Joe, are you? Or, yeah. Okay, that's what I want to hear.
fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, your
Thank-
worship. Any other questions? I have a few questions, by the way, so Marie, I'll just, Joe, I was out there today. Oh, sorry.
Just a simple one. Through the chair to Marie. And it says you're going to go down to 2 from 3 driveways. I just wondered where they were proposing to do them. It's just for curiosity.
Right, with the way the, through the chair, through Councillor Deneen, with the way the site will be established, there is one in the middle that it won't even be utilized. So they're going to remove that anyhow. And then the one at the west end is actually more on the adjacent property than it is on this property. So that will be removed, and then a new one established for the west end. So there'll be one on the west end and one on the east end. Yeah, you're welcome.
Everybody else has had their kick at the cataract. Good. Couple of questions. Just go on that, on the, I was looking at the picture on the entrance there. Is that etched in stone where that entrance, like the one entrance looks like it's driving right into the coverall? And I don't know that that makes sense.
That's the one in the middle will be removed.
And it'll be proportioned in a logical place.
Yeah, so there'd be the new one at the west end,
Yes.
be so that the trucks that can come in and go
Okay.
into the building and drop off or pick
Okay,
up
so the way you have,
and go out the other end.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other question, I know driving around there today, the unopened road access, that's not the neighbor's driveway, is it?
It's being utilized as their driveway,
It's both, Joe?
but
Well, I know you have access around the corner as well, but do you use that driveway at all?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. The other question I had, I noticed in the application about, we're always looking at the water, of course. They didn't want you to put any berms up to protect the lumber or anything like that. They're not doing any, like I noticed there's a river course behind where on the edge of the hill, we'll call it. And is that not what is that used for? Is that just spring runoff or? So you never have problems with water coming across the yard there? Okay, that's fine.
So it is within the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, so a permit will be required for them prior to building. And that will be all come into with the site plan. As we
Well,
go through the site plan approval process, everything gets established on the site, whether there's fencing but I would think looking at that ditch that they probably don't want it touched, right? They're kind of better left in its natural state, but they
Well, I
would
agree with
probably
that.
establish a setback. for
I agree
this
with that, but I just thought
outdoor storage.
sometimes, like when I was talking with your dad today, Joey said they were going to store styrofoam and stuff like building material. I don't want to see styrofoam floating down the road. So I just thought,
Make the buildings keep the styrofoam from blowing.
okay, that makes sense. Good. Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. All questions? Okay, at this point,
Checking with Marty.
Marty, would you want to speak or say anything? No, you're good. This concludes a public meeting with respect to file number 2023-091-ZB on this evening's agenda. We thank all who attended and provide comments for their interest in this matter. All input received with regard to this proposal will be fully considered by staff in a recommendation and by council in their decision with respect to the application. Report regarding this proposal will be prepared for council, who will make decision concerning this matter at a future date. At this point, I pass the meeting on to your worship, the mayor.
Well, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Good job tonight. Council, there's nothing further on the agenda other than our two closing items. So if there's anything further, I don't see anything. So we will go for the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of this council meeting be it resolved. Bylaw 23-11 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 25th, 2023 special council meeting be presented or read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 25th day of January 2023. I'll look to Councillor Walker to move it. Can I look to Councillor Beelan to second it? Thank you. Any questions on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? That bylaw carries. The final motion is the motion to adjourn. I wish everybody a safe drive home who's here in the building. And we'll read the motion to adjourn. The time is 6:56. Be it resolved that council meeting be adjourned at 6:56 p.m. You have a mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Broderick. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. We'll adjourn the meeting. Have a good night.